AMRN Amarin had a pretty good 48 hours, obviously here. As you can see, trending nicely up. I would say the bias is certainly to the upside, but in this event, you may have a situation where the path of least resistance is down. And the reason I say that is because as you move forward here, we're not going to have a lot of trend lines underneath, where your underlying price is. So these are your trend lines. This is where you're going, but you could open, and if you don't respect these two trend lines, you're gonna go lower. And this is kind of the preview. If the thing sells off, this is the kind of the preview as to how quickly it's going to do so. So, looking back at, this is the half-year chart. So we'll just go here to March 30th, when this thing really took a hit, and see where we're going. I'm not too familiar with why this sell-off. I didn't get too much into it. I've really only been watching Amarin the last week or so. So I'm sure you can easily find out why this thing dove, from 13 and a half, wow, all in one day, down to below $8, and then settled here. Oh no, this is at $5 right here, and then even settled at $4 before starting to come back. There is potential to the upside for a major move, and that's where you're looking back at this chart here, and you're just filling this gap obviously right now. If you're talking about near $14 down to $5, 50% retrace would put you around $9.50. Certainly seems like that's where we're going. Are we going to get there today? I doubt it, because this stock doesn't seem to have a whole lot of range. But you're wanting to fill the gap to get back towards, at least a 50% retrace from this day here, where you lost all this value. So this trend line, so you're just following this general trend, and this is your kind of like your original trend line as you started to fill in this gap. Here's your fib chart. One fib chart you could have drawn from the bottom, and as you can see, it worked out pretty well, respecting all those fib lines on the way back here. So we've now gotten past this Fibonacci chart, and we'll have to draw a new one, for potential into this area here. So that's the other point I'm going to make, is that, all right, so you are kind of, your breakout here today, the stock's trading at 791. The thing doesn't seem to have enough range to get in the breakout, where you can see this thing run from $9, maybe even all the way up to this trend line. There's probably another trend line in here I'm missing, and I'll take a look. I don't really see it, so maybe I'm not. So the thing does have a breakout potential. Go to the 1 minute chart, but you're gonna have all these stops along the way. You got a nice little gap here. The thing could open up today with just a straight kaboom to this trend line here at 830. Again, this stock moves slow. I doubt it. But you do have, you got your trend lines underneath, and these are ascending lines. So this is nice. The stock should stop here if it does start to sell off. But you just want to be careful of this trend line here, where, your stock, this is one trading day. It's about $8.30 at the top, $7.80 at the bottom. So you could easily lose a half point. So, and that can be, in a trading day, you're not going to lose a half point in a couple minutes. So, but you could easily here gain 30 cents at a quick clip. Next trend line above that, you got That's 17 cents away from this trend line, and since this one is a little more steep, that's going to move up as you go. It's going to run into this shallow trend line at some point. And if that's one of those deals where if the stock's trading above this trend line, it gets clipped by this trend line, you got to be careful because a lot of times you're going to fall to the next line of support. So I am, like I said, I have not really been following this stock all too much. I've heard traders talking about it. My mentor has told me to get into it, and I just really haven't, had any room in my portfolio to get this thing in there. So I've got some alerts now. Thank you for bringing it to my attention, rookie. And don't be afraid to fill me in and remind me about what's going on here, and I'll be happy to offer my opinion on where I think it's going. I mean, I don't want to tell people, oh, it's going here, it's going there. Look, this is where your possibilities are, and that's what I try to tell people with the trend lines. You might follow this one down today. You got a little preview of that yesterday. But look at all these other trend lines. This means you're trending up. But typically, on your way up, you're going to stop. You might pull back a little bit, then you blow through the trend line, and then we can take the trend line off the chart. But you haven't done, obviously, yet on the way up here. We've stopped at a couple trend lines and made our way back down. Haven't exploded back up through really towards any of these. This might be a trend line I can go ahead and get rid of because we sold through it, both of these trend lines. So let's just go ahead and get rid of that one. So that's what you do here. I mean, as you go through trend lines, you're going to have to go in and just clean up your chart because they're just going to crowd your chart. And as you blow through trend lines, you can leave them up there as you blow through once, I guess, and see if you're respecting on the way up. But, I mean, we just completely sold through this trend line. Didn't even hesitate, so I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that. All right, well, Amarin, AMRN. Good luck.